Board of Trustees, subject to the open meeting laws being recorded in accordance with section 2-2-301, 2-3-202, 2-3-203, 2-3-214 Montana Code annotated. All members of the board, staff, and public in attendance are advised that the public portions of this meeting will be recorded in both an audio and video format. Cameras and recording devices are placed throughout the meeting room to complete these recordings. Everyone in attendance is reminded to honor basic rules of decorum during the meeting and guidance associated with providing public comment as stated in policy 1420F. If you're remaining in the meeting, those present consent to being recorded and displayed in the footage that will be posted on the school district's website.
You don't have that memorized right now?
No. I have to put sticky notes over the part I don't need, so. Welcome to negotiations 2026. Yay! Hooray! We had fun.
Good times.
We've got some new people to add to the fun this year.
Waiting on anybody?
Well, technically yes, but I think we're just gonna go
They're
without.
both at-
Yeah.
They're both at the
Perfect.
math competition.
So I would say since, well, we don't have a quorum anyway, can't make a decision, but we might as well get the information.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So,
You want me to pass out the other?
We'll go back for a bit later. One at a time.
That's the way I'll phrase it.
thank you.
You're welcome. Tom, did you want? Are you good?
Do you have next one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want some time to flip through, or do you want me just to start?
Maybe let us just take a quick peek at it so we kind of get a little bit of an idea. Can I ask one question on number 2 on the back page?
Number 2 on.
Just to make sure we're clear, when you're talking about sick leave bank, you're talking about the individual employees
The individual
accumulated sick
employees,
leave?
yes, not the accumulated bank that we would donate to.
So can we, just for the sake of wording for me,
Yes.
Yep,
can we say unused during the school year will roll over into the employee's accumulated sick leave?
Okay.
to the employees,
So get rid of bank.
or to the employees
Accumulated
sick
sick
leave, okay. To a maximum of 156,
Yep.
that's where we're at?
Yep.
And then we get rid of sick from the next sentence too.
Yeah, and we'll just change the wording on the next sentence as well, or on number 4, right?
On number 3 too?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Number 3, yeah.
Leave from their accumulated sick leave?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm not trying to like thesaurus this thing, I just want
That's
to make
okay.
sure that we're all kind of talking about the
Yeah.
same thing.
It's like the, let's be honest. It's very helpful.
Mhm. It's all making sense so far. now that you have given this to us, would you mind sending it out to me? Could you email that to me and the board so they can kind of look at it, make copies, and then highlight or
Probably just-
kind of make questions wherever they've got some things?
I'll just send it right now, so that I don't forget.
So this is all, everything that they're asking for?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, so every place where they've got like you got, well, where it's in gray highlighted, I'm guessing it's probably like all of those are all the proposals. And everything within those.
These are just the changes to the current.
Yeah, most of it isn't new, it's really just proposed changes to current
Okay.
master agreement language.
Sarah, do you have a Sidney Public Schools email?
Yeah.
I gotta find it. There you are, never mind, it's just way down there.
Thank you.
Good? Any questions?
No.
No, I think everything's pretty clear as far as what
Okay.
you're asking for. There's not a lot, I mean,
Right.
to discuss or really go through right now until we can kind of digest some of this. I have to work through some of it with Tracy. Because like, for instance, when you go to, the extracurricular and supplemental stipends. So a lot of those positions are created already, they're just not listed in the master agreement, so we just have to make sure that we figure out what those are at right now and kind of, right, so. And then if there's any others that may be missing, like there was a question today that came up on, high school academics and middle school academics and who's actually getting those stipends. Cause like on here, you see the National Honor Society stipend is not listed in there right now. But I think Dan Hart actually gets
Yes,
the
he
high
does.
school academics stipend. And it's how things ended up traditionally and things have been added to take care of some of that. So that would actually be a pretty good cleanup of just different things that we already have stipends for.
And we thought it would just provide more transparency
Yeah,
for members and, clarification in the master agreement. The other person, today I talked to Lauren a little bit, she has some really good feedback, cause there are some, in addition to some that aren't being listed, there are some that have changed a little bit. And so she had some feedback too that I said we'd,
right. So like when Russ started esports and the economics, cause he has an economics team, basically, that
Yeah,
they could
basically.
compete. So we combined that stipend for esports and the economics group.
Yeah.
And took it away from BPA because we didn't have BPA anymore, so that really needs to be outlined. The reason we didn't do it is because we didn't wanna open up the master agreement to create the positions, so that's kind of why that ended up.
And then we've heard rumors that there might be adjustments to the Title IX coordinator position, switching more to admin role rather than having a teacher doing it. So
Potentially.
potentially, so whatever we need to adjust or whatever,
Mhm.
those were just some
What is
things.
that one that's not listed too?
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, and that's board policy.
yeah,
So that was
probably,
why we had it.
because they're getting paid. So like I said, yeah. So,
Mentor program coordinator. And then do we have the amounts for what the mentors make in the master agreement? Cause that was
I thought we,
I thought,
So is these just ones that aren't listed in the master
Yeah.
agreement?
Yes,
for
yes,
compensation,
we
page
kinda tried to make a list of what is
What is
currently being
page
paid
13.
that is not listed. Okay, so,
Mentor teachers
did
shall
our
be
best.
compensated $800 per year, additional compensation provided at stipend rate of $250 per additional protege.
And I think that changed, right, last summer?
Yeah. We talked about that LMC,
I think that Karen got an increase and I think the mentors got an increase.
Mm-hmm.
They might be at 1,000 now.
yeah, I think you're right. I think it's 1,000.
So we'll take a look at that too and
Yeah.
see where the stipends are
And
at. so
Karen's
we'll go
position
back.
isn't listed in here though, that's,
What's that?
Parent coordinator, because the coordinator's not listed.
Right, and that changed too, the amount changed for that. Any questions you have, Casey?
I don't think so. I don't know, to clarify the payment timelines, so like, don't put second Monday in May, is that what you mean, or?
For the continuing ed.
Yeah,
Oh, continuing ed's different, so they apply for those grants, right?
yeah, I don't know what the
Well,
timeline-
instead of waiting until they're done, so if they finish in like December, pay immediately instead of waiting until the end of the,
At the end of the
Year.
fiscal year.
Okay,
So,
because a lot of
yeah,
people, we have to pay for that up front, so it'd be nice to have that money
reimbursed
to be
back.
reimbursed quickly, more quickly.
So when they finish the program, they
Mhm.
give us
Yeah.
transcripts proving that they finished the program, and we would add that to like that pay cycle for them.
okay.
If that
The only
makes
ones I've ever done, that's how I've done it. So I
sense. Yeah,
don't
but
know.
they don't always end up that way.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
School calendar proposal probably came from Laughlin. I can see that on, all over that one. That's just a plus or minus on the calendar.
Well, it is a big speaking point.
It is, yep. And this year we're at like 3.5 or 4 next year, which is as close as we've been since we went to the 4-day.
We've included the word try.
We did.
Yeah.
I did say that too. I said try. And then there's another piece in there that says recommended guidelines. But okay. I guess what I would recommend is, should we set our next meeting date? And then let's try to maybe hammer through some of these to get the ball rolling and get through some of this.
Some of the easy ones, yep, sounds like a plan.
What are we looking at? Honestly, if, once we get going, it's nice to schedule them a little bit sooner than later for these ones. Like, try to get something within like a week, probably something next week we would wanna get, on the calendar.
I'm good whenever.
Can we do earlier than 6?
Well, I was gonna ask, can we keep it at 6, we got esports?
Yeah. Every day you have esports?
Okay, so next week. I mean, we could do it on Tuesday, that's St. Patty's Day, that could be fun.
Well. Do you want to be here?
Ran across the street.
Right.
We're after the meeting here.
So you wanna go like,
Make it better or worse.
Yeah, right.
I don't necessarily know, do you wanna go like on a Monday or Tuesday again?
That's fine.
Yeah.
I don't have any issues, you
Yeah,
good?
no,
I think we're good.
Monday, let's just do Monday.
Monday at 6?
Monday the
The
16th.
16th.
Monday the 16th at 6 o'clock? If something changes, let me know, and if something changes on our end, I will let you know.
Okay.
Anything else you guys want
Yeah,
to bring up
I'll
before we leave, or?
Did you have any, whatever you wanted to say? It seemed like you were ready to say something earlier.
Well, so,
You can go through it all if you
no,
want.
I don't think we really need to. The only thing I wanna talk a little bit about is with the longevity pay. One of the things we're trying to do is, if you look at it, and you look at the salary matrix, and we start doing math, it's hard to go back to the base or to our constituents. When we say we negotiate like a 4% raise, and then if you're in certain cells, you don't get said 4% raise.
Yeah.
And I know the stipend is there to try and help, we're trying to adjust, basically making it so it's a lot closer in this scenario. We're open to opening up just those specific cells to try and get it done, or just the stipend so that it's basically, we're just trying to make it more equitable across the board for everybody, so they're not sitting there saying, well, I'm in this cell and I got 2.3% raise, when everybody else in some other cells got about 4%.
Right, and I mean, I know the reason that it's set up this way, obviously because of balancing things, and then the other problem is that, you know, it's logical, right, if you give everybody exactly 4%, and this person's making 40,000 and this person's making 80,000 in 3 years, the 80,000 has gone up a ton.
Yes.
And now you're talking your
The gap, and then.
the gap between your start and your, and that's why we've added in the past, and just, you know, obviously just a couple, I don't know, the last negotiation is the one before that, where we extended it from 17 to 19.
Yep.
You know, to add that, and then also have the formulas based on time where we get some bigger gaps. I know the master agreement has the formula, so it's like,
Yep.
you know, first column, it's all 1050, you know, then the
Next
second
one, yeah.
column's 1050, and then when you get to the BA plus 3, it goes to 1225 at year 6, and then 1458 at 11. So,
Right.
I mean, that's the reason that's been that way.
Yes,
It's
and
to try to
the
keep-
other thing is gonna be the stars, keeping those percentages in
Right,
line so
right.
we qualify. So, but we're trying to work within those means and
Right.
trying to get everybody.
Yeah, and I mean, I will, you know, obviously, you were here, you know, the reason that we kept the in-district was rewarding in-district, right?
Right.
We've extended the years of service that we give credit for, because we used to
Right.
have a cap on it,
Yes.
Right.
you know, and so it's one of those things that, you know, we've kind of set ourselves up to, we want to get good people, but we've had a lot of situations where we're not necessarily getting the district's benefit of a senior teacher retiring and bringing in a new teacher. Because we're giving them, you know, we're bringing somebody
You're
in
bringing
that's
in with
got
their
20 years
4 years. Yeah,
experience,
we
and now
understand.
we're gonna, you know, give them the stipend based on their years of experience elsewhere. You know, when is that necessarily fair to the person that's been in this district 20 years? You know, that's the way we look at it. We want to reward the people in district, and that's why we came to that last time, but obviously it's something we can
Look at.
discuss.
Yeah, and go forward with, I just wanted to lay
Yeah,
that
no,
out there.
and that's fine. I mean, you know, again, we're not out there turning away teachers just because they got 18 years experience either, you know what I mean? Like, we're trying to hire the best people, but, you know, as it comes up every time, we've got to balance.
We know,
You know,
we understand, and there's
the
lots
needs
of
of the
things that we
district.
gotta work with.
Yep, no, I think, you know, everything, you know, there's probably a couple other concerns, but I don't wanna,
Yeah.
Fine.
keep it cordial for the first one.
Can you talk a little bit about the differences in, sick leave, just so, versus discretionary days?
So currently we get 11 and a half sick days and 4 personal days. You know, personal days you can use however you see fit, sick days are for sick, you know, time. Going to discretionary days, would allow people to use the days how they are needed. I know we proposed this last time, and, you know, it basically kinda got shut down right away. This time we kinda hoped by clarifying that our bank doesn't go to all discretionary. So if somebody has a bank of 100 days, those are not discretionary days, and, you know, the only discretionary days you get are the ones that you're allotted for that year. And if you carry over 8, those go into your accumulated sick leave. So, last time we didn't clarify
Mhm.
that, you know, and, I mean, it was kind of our thought that maybe that's one of the reasons why, you know, we couldn't make any movement with that. But to clarify, you know, that accumulated sick leave bank would stay as sick leave, and that's what it would be used for. The 15 and a half days that we currently give would be the only discretionary days. It wouldn't be everything.
Right, so once they, how I read it is, once they get to the 15 and a half, they can't take a day off for vacation.
Yeah,
It has to be specifically for sick leave.
yeah.
At that point. And that's where I think you may wanna keep the language of what qualifies for sick leave,
Yes.
once you go over.
I see, so keep that A section
Yeah, and that
in.
would almost be like a separate,
Okay.
that's how I would propose it for you to keep it in. So it would be once discretionary leave is gone, this is what qualifies for sick leave.
the only concern I have there is, when you remove the, 2 days prior approval of the personal leave. When it's basically left to your discretion when you want off, and so then when you get to holidays and stuff.
And we talked about that, we might have to make some adjustments on that, like, we might still have to put something in here, prior to holidays, only a certain number of staff can use discretion, cause it is in the master agreement now, prior to holidays and all of
Right.
that, like, I think that would be something that we would be open to keeping and maybe changing some of the language there, because I do understand what you're saying, it does get hard, we don't have subs over the holidays or very close to.
Right.
That just creates a big compounded problem.
Mhm.
So I think we're really open to looking at that language and making sure that we keep part of that intact,
Right. Yeah, so I mean, obviously, I'm looking out for the
Yeah.
administrators and not, having.
Well, and we don't want to have you guys having to pay to cover people or pulling teachers
Right.
to get all that
Yeah.
coverage, where we're trying to make sure that everybody's happy in the end.
Did you have any others, Ben? I know you said you had a couple.
No, I think that's fine. I mean, every company I've worked for that's combined their leave always takes away half of it, so I don't know how this works. But,
Do first-year teachers get all 15 days?
Yeah.
yep, no, I think, obviously, we gotta look at numbers, break down some of that, cause again, obviously, I'm looking out for the administrators and the teachers on that sick leave usage or discretionary leave usage, how we wanna word it.
This is not part of that.
Right, the bereavement, that would be additional.
Yeah, the bereavement, additional.
I will say I've worked in a number of districts, throughout the state, and Sidney is the only district that I work for that does not have bereavement leave for staff. So, that was kind of an idea that I really had, because this is the only district that I know of that I worked in that doesn't currently have that.
Just something to look at, even just the number of days, not to diminish, bereavement,
Yes.
but, let's look at some,
3 days, and then use your sick leave bank after.
potentially, yeah,
Yeah.
just look at it more like that, right? To
Yep.
more look at like how, what does the county have, what does the city have, what
Yep,
does,
agreed.
the hospital use for stuff like that,
Yep.
Oil companies, whatever.
Yeah,
Just so that we more align with that.
yeah, agreed.
5 days is kind of weird too when we got 4-day school weeks,
Well,
so.
So the 5 days came from our MFPE rep, and
Sure.
I think, most of his districts, and you look, he's from Billings,
Mhm.
so they're all on a 5-day school week, so I'm thinking that's where that really came from, we just didn't adjust it.
Right.
So.
Yeah, no, that's fine, we'll look at that a little bit, the longevity, to be honest, is probably gonna take a little bit of, convincing on giving everybody credit for everything,
But it's not.
No,
That's
but
what it's
only
after
so
you're
you-
tenured.
It's after you're tenured, and the only people who get it
Or at the
Are-
bottom
are
of
at
the
the-
cell.
have reached these
Oh, yeah,
specific
right,
cells.
right.
We
Yeah.
left that language.
So-
We left that language.
right,
Yeah.
but I kinda like the idea of in the district, rewarding them from staying here for 14 years, not coming here after working somewhere else for 14 years.
Yeah, I get it. And I think that was originally why they put it in.
Yeah, that was the discussion when we agreed to this last time, was rewarding people that, show up here and they start getting that,
You can give them more for being in district. You
Okay.
can go on
I
top
like
of
where
that.
you're going.
This isn't your first time with me here, so giving more is not my thing.
Just throwing that out there.
So the cells, which specific cells would be,
So,
The bottom.
the bottom one,
The
so
bottom of
if
each
you go
column.
BA8,
No,
Okay.
it's not
Oh.
even that, I think we start at
Oh.
BA3.
did we start at
I think-
BA3?
It's
I
year
wanna say-
14,
Year 14, okay.
Oh,
so
so
it's the MA.
BA3, MA, MA1,
Okay,
MA2.
and
two.
so
So
the,
it's those last 4 columns that would be eligible for that longevity stipend.
and so the, equation in those cells would remain the same, but plus.
They just get a separate.
It's like there's a separate stipend added in, and once you add in that stipend, then that percentage goes up and it's closer to what we've negotiated.
Yep, no, that's, again, we gotta, the calendar thing, obviously, we don't want 10 days difference between semesters, that doesn't make any sense. But yeah, you know, the wording of try to keep the first and second semester balanced, I think that's a no-brainer. Yeah, we just have to look through and, you know, get all these things added get all those positions added and figure out what the stipends are.
Yep.
So that we can kind of see where they fall, because we've had, I've had issues in the past with certain coaches making, you know, certain amounts for different things, you know, based on time, so.
I have a question about that too, like, so, like at the middle school, I know high school, the link crew and the web crew were.
Was it with the same matrix we got?
Yeah, same matrix,
Yes.
no changes in the matrix or anything.
Okay, so,
Co-coordinator?
What's that now?
He's like, for link crew and web, there's 2 of us that do it, but we put about the same amount of time, so would it be split or just each person gets the same?
Well, that's a negotiation thing.
Well, that's
we
what I'm
deal
saying.
Yeah.
Kind of, I mean, you can convince us that it should be 2 equal pay.
Right, yeah, I'm just,
Yeah.
I don't know if there's mentioning it.
No, I mean-
2 of them that do it, 2 of us that do it.
It's one of those things where a lot of years this doesn't even get looked at, it just gets rolled over with,
Right.
you know, whatever percent, and, you know, the first year that I was doing negotiations, I looked at some stuff and it caused some issues, cause I felt certain spots were overpaid, but yeah, no, I think we just gotta get that, you know, get the numbers for the money. You know, make sure that, you know, from their standpoint or whatever, that we got, you know, some wordings the way we need to protect the district. But yeah, no, I think this is fine, we should be able to give you something on Monday.
Okay.
A counter and, yeah, no, this works.
If you think of any others with the added positions in the master agreement, if you think of any others that we're paying currently that we need to put in there, make sure you let me know, cause I'm gonna add the ones
Okay.
yeah, and
that I can think
And I
of.
mean, maybe touch base with Lauren, because she was kind of doing a mental list in her head today when I talked to her. So, she would be a good one, because she's working payroll and all of that and knowing who gets paid out. The other person she mentioned was Mr. Dennison. She said he kind of runs those stipend positions, like he's the one that works all those contracts or something. She said she thought Ashley was handling extracurricular, like sports ones, and Carl was handling like the stipend ones for like, you know what I mean, science club, you
Yeah,
know, all of
yeah.
those, that it was Mr. Dennison doing that.
Department heads.
Yeah, exactly. So, just those that didn't fall under the sports category were the
Sure.
ones that he was taking care of. So, do you want me to touch base with him to see if there's any that are missing?
We could, yeah, for sure.
I will do that.
So I forgot about like the middle school.
Yeah, hey, you're in the building, you do that. I'll delegate, you do that.
What'd you say, Brett?
Even the middle school athletic director stipend, that one I don't think is in there, and it's listed on here, but it's a stipend.
Yeah,
Yep.
And I brought that one up
yeah,
yesterday.
we added it. I think,
It's in the list, it's just.
It's in the list, and then like the elementary 504, we haven't had that position before, that's kind of a new one this year, for that.
It says Michelle used to do it.
Yes, so, we wanted that one added in there too, because we do have somebody doing those 504s now.
Okay. Guys got anything?
Okay, with the 6%? So you're going 6% of here?
We have a discrepancy between what we have and
So-
what you, okay.
So I think so our guy from
Right,
MFPE and the state was the one that prepared those matrices.
Yeah.
I think what they did is they applied 6% across every
Okay.
cell. So,
Oh, so that is a change
Yes.
in the matrix. Sorry, I apologize.
yes, so I think,
So
yes,
That's why. Sorry.
just plug it into the one we use.
yeah,
Change
yes.
in the matrix sounds like the movie.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't
Right.
it?
You want the red blue or the blue pill?
Nikki still works for us, so she will fight anybody that wants to change that pay schedule.
I just don't understand how, if you do a percent, how every column or every cell gets the same number. Like
They
plus
don't. So-
10, 50, 10.
No, it's not. So she set up that's been set up over the years to
Right.
maintain certain differences in pay. You know, there's all these like fine lines of
Mhm.
where you don't want somebody, you know, making more in it further right than, or, you know, in the left column than someone further right, and, you know, it's a lot of that stuff, and so for simplicity, Nikki created this where you assign the percentage to the top left thing, and then
Right.
everything else just figures out, and then you can make, to give more or less to certain columns or certain experience, that's where we gain like the 1225, it's in certain steps, in certain columns. So rather than doing the percentage, because the problem with the percentage is if you added 3% to every single one, after 10 years, that gap between, you know, a brand new teacher and your
It becomes
19-year master's is gonna be so large that it would be, you know, when stuff like STARS Acts come up, we would never be able to meet that. You'd have to give brand new teachers a $40,000 stipend just to beat the average.
Yeah.
So that's why, I mean, yeah, it's not
So
always.
the formula is deceptive.
The formula's not deceptive,
Like,
it's
to me,
pretty,
just, okay.
and that's why in the master agreement,
You don't get it.
they included it, you know,
Yeah.
so that you could see the steps of
And see
like,
the numbers to-
where it actually goes.
Right.
And so, yeah, you just add the percentage to BA 0, so that, and then everything else fills out, and that way it keeps gaps where they need to be gaps, you know, to make sure that, you know,
People
things
are
don't
being
get.
rewarded for experience and education.
Right, and that's why, like, you get to the BA 3, all of a sudden, you know, if you're at year 6, if you're a BA 2, you only get 1050, if you're BA 3, you get 1225. So you get a little, you know, bigger jump. And, you know, if you go from BA 2 to BA 3, you go over 1 and down 1, so, you know, you essentially get 2,500, from the year before. So that's why she did it, and it just gets real crazy when you start putting 6% in every single one, and then you start looking it out, because even across this with yours, if you did 6% at MA2 19 over 3 years, to see the gap that you would be,
Yeah,
you know,
It's a big thing.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So that's why Nikki, I don't know that, I mean, Nikki's been here forever, so she probably created it, to be fair.
She did.
But we've adjusted that in the 10 years I've been here, where we've changed the, you know, it's like, okay, let's reward the teachers when they get, you know, this much time in service and this much education, you
And
know.
obviously, those amounts will change based on what we agree upon for percentage, like that, it's not gonna remain the same, right?
No,
Right,
those stay the same.
No, those set numbers, like the plus.
The
yeah.
1050, the 1250,
Okay.
those don't
stay.
change.
It's just the
Okay.
numbers above them.
And again, we've negotiated those
Yes.
you know, in the last 10 years, where we've changed that, which is why it wasn't this, you know, it wasn't 1450 or whatever at MA2 17. It used to be 1225.
Sure.
So that's how, I mean, you know how this goes, right? Depending on which teachers want to negotiate or have an issue, that's what gets focused on, right? So it's like if you had a bunch of new teachers in here, they're not gonna wanna give anything to
The bottom,
the bottom.
yeah, right.
But if you get a bunch of teachers with 17-year service, they wanna make sure, you know, that we extend it to 19, so they get 2 more raises, not just the, you know, the
Sure.
1.5 that ends up being,
Yep.
you know, on a 3%. But, you know, and so we've adjusted those numbers, you know, so yes, it's not always, it's not a fair number. I mean, that's the reality, right? It's not exactly a 3% across the board.
Sure.
But then, you know, we've bumped it up over the past, we've, you know, made concessions, and yeah, you're not gonna see it year 2, year 3, but in year 1, when we did that, you got a big raise as opposed to, you know, the normal one. And then obviously, we've done stuff like the stipend for years of service, which, you know, makes up some of that too. So that's kind of the thought process, because if you start doing percents across the board, you know, you're gonna get to a point where it's gonna be,
Yes,
we've gotta give new teachers a 10% raise and no one else gets a raise, period. You know, just to get into, you know, some kind of a balance.
Yeah.
So that's why those were
and
set
I think
up
it
that
helps
way.
you guys explaining it, because, I mean, when we start working the numbers on our end, you go, wow, but by the time you're, you know, MA 18 to 19, you're looking at a 1.6, you know what I mean?
Yep,
Like,
yep,
starting to look at those numbers, and I think that that's where the concern,
yep.
you know, kind of is, you know, like.
Right, and you can see, I mean, even if you look at the formula, like if you look at the MA plus 2, it's 1075 all the way until 18 and 19.
Mhm.
Yes.
It doesn't change, but that was a negotiated agreement, because we added those 2 years
Sure.
to the thing, so there were several teachers that went straight from 17 to 19,
Mhm.
you know, in the district when we did that.
Yeah.
And they, you know, they got, you know, $2,900 raise, you know, over.
Sure.
But it was also kind of a negotiated thing of like, how many teachers are at MA plus 2 that aren't, you know, at 17 years of service, you know, type of thing too. So that's why it can look a little goofy, but, you know, there was
Method
reason
to the
behind
madness.
it. There was some logic into it of like, you know, you kind of look at like the wheelhouse, right, of that BA3 to MA1, it's from year 6 to, you know, 6 to 10, and then 11 to 17. Well, that's, you know, when you're normally in that range, right, of getting that. So, that's why those were set up that way. I couldn't remember, you know, I had to look, obviously, cause that's, I mean, I think we've changed it every time, every other negotiation I've done, we've adjusted it to some extent. So, yeah, that's why that's set up that way, and yeah, just, you create too big of gaps if you try to go across the board a certain percentage.
Sure.
Yeah, you'd even, by doing that, even if you give a 6% increase over 3 years, there's no way you'll meet the STARS Act average.
Yeah, don't
Yeah.
go. to
Cause
those.
and it's only because your high is gonna be so far away from your low.
Right. We just had to start somewhere.
No, that's fine, look, I get it, yeah, I mean.
I'm saying 6% if you covered it in every cell.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
There-
yes.
there's no
yeah,
coverage.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
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 Yeah, and, you know, my first year doing this, I was like, where did she get these numbers? You know, and I
Right.
reverse engineered it, and then she's like, I would've sent it to you, but, you know, so it was like, oh, okay, now this makes sense when you know, when you see how they did it, and, you know, I don't know how many years it's been that way. It was that way ever since Kelly Day was on it. She was on here long before I was, so.
Sure.
But yeah, that's the reasoning behind it, or the rationale, and, you know, that's obviously a thing that can be adjusted too, right? I mean, it's not a set in stone. I think the methodology, I think we're pretty set in stone in it,
Right.
you know what I mean?
But the numbers can fluctuate.
But yeah, I mean, everything can change, we just don't wanna, you know,
I
we don't wanna set ourselves up for.
We don't wanna put you in debt where you have to get rid of teachers or staff or
Right.
any of those types of
Right.
situations.
Yep, so, yeah, that's kinda, I think we're all in agreement that we don't really wanna change the ideal of it,
Right.
you know, as we move forward, so. Anything else, anybody?
I'm good. I will start putting this together how we have it now, and then
Tracy, do you want a digital copy of that matrix that we handed you?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, I will send that.
Did you send this to me also?
Yes, I did. Yep, it was sent to everybody that's here, so.
Yeah.
So I'll
Do I
send
need
that
to
to
send
the
it to
others.
everybody else?
Oh,
Other board members?
the pay scale,
Yeah, for this,
The
I think-
proposal.
or do you want me to
I
wait?
think we got it.
No, to like Randy and David and.
Yeah, I sent it to everybody that was sitting here.
Okay, yeah, send it to
Okay.
them, cause David's used his private email anyways, isn't he?
I-
Yeah.
Tracy, you're going to send that
Yeah,
to them?
yep, I
Okay.
will.
Okay, I was
Yep.
gonna, okay.
Yeah, I got it. Okay, yeah.
Awesome.
No, I think we're good.
Good starting point.
Yeah, appreciate you guys coming.
This was pleasant, actually. There was no yelling.
I've gotten better every year, relax.
You didn't really say much, so
I
it
did.
went pretty well. Thought it went really well.
The goal is no yelling.
There you